Good morning, sisters and brothers. We're back for another study. This study is not the study on worm. I haven't been able to find a whole lot of information on it, so probably it's going to end up just being a short video. But I'm going to continue to pursue it and see what more I can find and discover on it. So that's why it's not this video. We're going to take a look at a verse that just come to mind, and I really said, the Spirit said, I really want to investigate that and look into that. So that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go look into it right now. And that verse is found in Job 38:10. Let's see if we can find it here. No, don't do that. Job 38:10. Do not tell me I just X that tab. Something tells me that every time I'll mark right on the Bible Hub brown thing, and I'll right in the middle and I'll take it right down. Now you tell me why it does that. Oh, there it is. So whatever tab I took down. Anyway, it's a study that I've been doing on a specific date, and so I'm gonna give you a prior warning. I'm planning on being done April 5th, 2025, because I began April 5th, 2018. Now, on the Hebrew calendar, they don't come up as the same date. So I may go a little past it because I believe April 5th, 2018 on the Hebrew calendar, I think, comes up Nisan 10, but I'm not sure. However, when I punch in April 5th, 2025, it comes up Nisan 7. So I may post one exactly on April 5th just to hit that April 5th, and then post another one a few days after that if I'm able to, or whenever, just so that I do hit my full 7 years. Why I want to hit 7 years, I don't know. I just feel it's a nice number to stop at, I guess. I've been trumpeting for 7 years. Instead of my channel moving forward, it's actually seems, or in appearance wise anyway, appears to be falling backward. I'm getting less likes than I ever did. I'm getting absolutely no new subscribers. I'm getting basically the same core group, I believe, that I started out with on Ruth Abbey. To most of that extent, I that was the founding right there of this core group, this handful of women who were willing to have the truth received unto themselves, and a few men along the way. And so, I mean, for all that I've done in 7 years, I should not be down to like 18 likes, when at the high point I was up to 40 or 50, and to most channels, that's nothing. That's nothing. And they'll get hundreds, 300, thousands of likes on their video. I get a mere 18 in 7 years of pulling out hard studies for people who supposedly claims to want the truth, don't want nothing to do with it. And yet the Bible warns you of that. The Bible has told you this world does not want to receive the spirit of truth. Equity, fairness, and truth could not enter in. That is what your warning in the Old Testament stated. And you know what? Here we are at the end of 7 years of hard study. And because I'm not a male preaching an idol of Jesus, they don't want nothing to do with me. Well, there. You've just set your own judgment, whether you know it or not. You have. 7 years? There you go. That's what my intention is. Now, if the Lord should take me out before them, so be it. That'll be the Lord's decision. So, anyway, sorry about that spiel, but it does make me angry. It does make me angry because I've been at this since 2011. And prior to that, the Lord had built all those verses in my mind that I knew I would need to tap into eventually, or she knew, the Spirit knew that I would need those verses, because how are you going to refute a religion if you don't know it? I had to be born into it. We actually have to be born into it to understand it to the degree that we can actually refute it, right? Rebuke him, right? I have laid the case in order. The Koheleth does that. So there's a purpose. There was a purpose, of course. And I'll tell you, if you think you're going to pull up, I've said it multiple times, this is to any new that I might get. I think I've got one new subscriber in like the last, I don't know. It's been forever. My subscription number's been sitting at. But I mean, I forget what I was saying. But I have to absolutely keep reiterating, the same things that we've come to know. But okay, now I know what I was saying. You're not going to pick this up in 2 minutes. You're not going to pick it up in half an hour, especially if you're going blip, 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 blip. And you're going to go, I know what she's saying. I know what she's saying. I know what she's saying. A lot of males that can't be bothered with it because of their arrogance, and it is their pride. And we're going to look at that word proud in Job 38 and what that actually is trying to lead us back to. But it has took years for us to see that truth by hard study in the Old Testament. And we know that the New Testament is the feet of the idol by the Greek and by the Roman Empire. They both built those feet, which is the New Testament tagged on to the Old Testament, which is the continued building of the idol in Daniel 2 that is being referenced. Now, we know what comes out of this spell book is the little book of truth, a little book that is sealed up, and that is the truth that is bound in there. All the rest is a pile of garbage fed to us by fallen Adam called Satan. We'll link the name in a minute, like we have before, for the newbie that may be along. But we've linked that name to the accuser. But they have set that idol and image in place, which is why there's now a harlot spirit ruling in the land. Now, if you can't reason that out, it makes no sense to you, and a father and his children, and he created everything and didn't need her, which then would establish this creation as a big fat lie. And yet God says, I created it for your eyes to bear witness to. Well, who creates? Who forms the clay in her womb? Well, first Mother Earth does, which we supposedly came out of her womb. And then the woman reflecting the creator, the potter, the maker, whom this entire world denied. Go to Ecclesiastes 12. That was another one I thought we'd take another look at. Possibly. I can only do so much in 3 months, of course. But it says, remember your creator in the days of your youth, while you are still able to draw water from the well. Remember her before the hard times enter in. And you could say, well, I have Jesus. You have an idol, but you can't hear the truth. You are trapped in prison houses. You are in the Fowler snare. We're going to take a look at that. So let's get to it. All right. Years of hard study understanding the language. Okay. Which is breaking down riddles, dark sayings, and you do that by understanding each individual word. You don't do it by listening to a man on the pulpit exalting himself in his image. Man in love with man, the abomination of desolation. And she will be a desolate spirit. No one will be hearkening to her law. They'll be too busy going, well, the body is all female. Yeah. And the head is male. What's that an image of today? And you wonder why they're attacking the woman's rights under the law? Oh, they've called on a spell out of the big old black spell book here. Usually the Bible is black. Most of them that I have are black. Which leads us to the book of shadows in a lot of ways. Come out of Egypt. Oh my gosh. Making her a harlot. What was the dirty book that they all go on to come out of Egypt? I don't even remember. Suma Kutra something. I have no idea. It's not where my head is. All right. It's not in the dirt. It's not in the filth. And I've heard a lot of women talk that way too. Like, hey, I'm going to be cool like one of the guys. No, you're not. You're playing a harlot spirit, which you were encouraged to do through multiple beatings into submission. We see the men when these daughters were passing through the gateway, the opening, a womb, freely, right? Mother's daughters, freely. And we see the men standing there as if they are men at war, ripping the robes off of them And the garment, you know what they were doing? They were defiling these women. That's what they were doing. They were creating the harlot spirit in the land. That's what they were doing. And now the women will say, well, I can't stand to have a woman friend. I'm going to have a guy friend. You think the guys ain't making fun of you? Oh my gosh. I mean, come on. Yeah, the guys could seem better in a world that afforded them all the rights and all the goods that they could acquire, and each other patting each other on the back, helping each other climb, and taking all your rights and goods. But yet, hey, he's my buddy. He's my companion. He's my friend. He supports me. Watch him. No, they don't. They don't support you. You see what they elected in the United States? And I'm not picking on the states, it's happening everywhere. A government that wants to put in archaic laws concerning the woman. You know why? Because they're afraid she might take control of the host back out of her own womb and begin to teach her children, and she became the desolate spirit, her law that came from mother, which is going to take us to the boundary and the door that has been set by our mother. So, which is the key of David? You're not going to pass through the gateway with an idol. You're not permitted, according to this verse here. So Job 38:10, sorry, I talked too long. What does it say? She says, when I fixed its boundaries and set in place its bars and doors. So let's go in and actually take a look at the words here. So we can also bring in verses 9 and 11 on this. So when I made the clouds its garment and thick darkness its blankets, we could take a look at that, but we ain't really got the time. So verse 10, when I fixed its boundaries and set in place its bars and doors. And verse 11, and I declared, you may come this far, but no further. Here's the word we want to look at. Your proud waves must be stopped. So, what does proud, what do you think of when you think proud, prideful, boastful? Don't you think of this little character they call Satan in the Bible, the devil? So, what proud waves? What proud waves are we looking at? Well, we're just going to come right out and tell you what we've discovered it to be through hard study over going on 14 years now, hard study. Yeah. Yeah, but you're going to know it in 2 minutes and be able to refute everything we've understood. No, only the one seeking after wisdom, seeking understanding, willingly seeking it, will eventually come up as to being one of mother's wise ones. So proud takes us back to, what does it say? And it will be let's look it up right here. It's in, I believe it's in chapter 3. I'm not sure. I have quite a few tabs up, so we'll go to my Bible here. So Genesis 3, I believe, is where it is. Let me get there. Where am I? 26 now. Going down to 3. Okay, so let's see if I can find it. I don't really have good lighting here. Right here, it's verse 15. So it's Genesis 3, verse 15 is a verse that we want to look at, and I'll put enmity between thee. Who's the thee here? And the woman, and between thy seed, whose seed? The serpent seed, Satan's seed. He became known as Satan, the serpent. Between thy seed and her seed, who's the woman here allegorized throughout all the text, Israel, which is Sarah. Sarah means God wrestles. They'll say, well, it doesn't mean Sarah as in Jacob's grandmother. Yeah, right? I got that right? No, I don't. I can't remember. Yeah, it was Isaac. Grandmother, Jacob's. But Jacob was one who wrestled with the angel of the Lord, presence of God, which was she. And you know what he ends up getting her name, stealing her birthright, or a name that he claims he stole. Israel, which is Sarah. Sarah's name meant chief. It actually meant sovereign. It was the woman's seed, her seed the woman. It didn't come from Abraham, although I chose Abraham alone, the man's written word would say. No, it was her. She says, I chose her alone. She is the seed that I chose, right? And Abraham comes in and actually tries to overrule that with his other woman that he went out and chose for himself. And then, of course, Sarah gets all the blame for that one too. But God says, I chose Sarah. She says, I chose Sarah because I know what was in Abraham's heart when he brought her in, right? So she actually chastised Abraham. But it's interesting that the name Israel, Ra, I mean, it also takes us back to the gods in Egypt. But we have to go back so far, and then we have to use them allegories to get to where we need to be in our studies. So we see actually Jacob wrestling her is what he did. And he stole her birthright and claimed it was his, meaning that the host, which was hers, that comes out of her womb, that should be hearkening to her law, she becomes a desolate spirit because he takes control of her womb through his man-made law, saying that she has no right, she has no goods, and begins to lead her astray into the religious lie of man-made idols of male gods. Therefore, he takes control of her host, and he comes up with a host himself. So that is the enmity that man we actually see here. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, in between the seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise her heel. Well, he did bruise her heel. He actually struck her with poison. And the poison caused her to go to sleep in the religious lie and law system. The poison, the enmity that he struck her with. So we saw that in his heart was drawn towards. He had absolute hatred for her and her law. He says, let us cut their bands asunder. Let us stop her, cut her off from becoming a nation. They did not want children adhering to the law that was to come from the woman's tongue, representing the righteous spirit in the land, and he chose to strike her instead. So the woman, over time, we see actually turns away from her mother, wisdom, and actually turns to her husband, which is then found in a ditch. She gets led into the ditch of religion. So proud waves is referencing Adam. What's another name for Satan is Beelzebub. And then to Satan, who is who? The accuser. Go look the word Baal up. It'll take you to Strong's Hebrew 1168 first, because you're going to be looking at this god, Baal. It's also another name for Baal is also your solar calf deity, straight out of the land of Egypt, idol worshippers. Idolatry is the land of Egypt. So Baal is your solar calf deity. This is for anybody who's not heard all of this. We also know that Mordecai's name takes us also to the worship of this golden calf idol, and he took what? Possession of a little girl and taught her how to bow to a king. So Mordecai's name means a follower of Marduk, right? Follower of Marduk. We discovered. You look up Marduk on Wikipedia, it'll tell you another name for Marduk is Baal. All right. So from Baal, fall back to 1167. You know what it's going to tell you? It's another name for your husband. Bridegroom. Your bridegroom. And he's going to claim that he's your head, your Lord and Master. Yeah. Male head with a female body. And he attacks her laws. He attacks her rights. He attacks her rights to have goods under those laws. The attack on her womb to hold possession of her house, fearful that she may actually learn to teach him the law that came from Mother Wisdom. He's terrified of that. But that is why this verse here in Genesis 3:15, is here. And I'll put enmity between his, Adam, the accuser, Beelzebub, Satan, the accuser, who accused who? The woman. What does it tell us repeatedly? He had no reason to accuse me. He came against me in a hateful and proudful and boastful manner. You watch men today. They can't give up. Father, Jesus, he. You know what that is? That's proud. That's boastful. And God says, I'll tell you, boys, when you build this idol up, you're going to create a snare, a ditch, that in your pride you will not be able to come away from. And they're not hearing. They refuse to hear it. That's how proud and boastful these men are. That's how proud and boastful, unfortunately, the women have become too. And it's against themselves. If they only but knew it. They're starting to wake up. Yeah, starting to. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between Adam's seed, Satan's seed, Beelzebub, the accuser seed, who's going to steal her birthright, her name, her law, and claim that he is Lord of all. Yeah, he's going to put him on her and subjugate her. Takes us to Isaiah 52. Come away, daughter Zion, pick thyself up out of the dust of the earth. Take off your yoke, take off the man-made law and religion, take back your throne. You are the sovereign of this kingdom because you are the creator of it. So in between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise, she shall bruise her seed. We come from her. Her seed shall bruise your head. It means she's going to crush his head. And thou shalt bruise her heel. And he did. What? Has Israel stumbled that she should fall? That took us to the study in Romans 11. We did that on the other channel, I believe. If I can find that study, it's a very important study. It was a good study, I think. And I'm not bragging. That's on the Spirit. So Romans 11 led us to the elect and to the 7,000 that had not bowed their knee to Baal, the image of it's been his bridegroom, Lord and Master, and creator of everything. Screw you, mother and daughter. That's what they're saying. You don't like the word screw. They sure do. They ain't got a problem doing it to you, taking your goods, taking your rights, taking your house, and teaching them their religious lie and using violence against you to perpetuate it. And so 7,000 who have not bowed their knee to the image of Baal. She says, I have set out an elect group. What I say? Has Israel stumbled that she should fall? That she should not obtain that which she seeketh? Or what is she seeking to obtain? Her house back, her children back under her law system. And the house restored back to mother wisdom. That's the foundation stone that got rejected. Deuteronomy 32:18. You rejected the God, the rock that writhed in pain to birth you. You rejected her. Seek your creator in the days of your youth while she may still be found and water can be drawn from the well. You want to look out when it gets cut off. There'll be no more help. The door's going to close to you. The womb, there'll be no more children coming out of it. But then they want to go, oh, Jesus is the stone that was rejected. That's man, Adam, Beelzebub taking control of your house. That's all that is. Wake up. Wake up. Come out of the snare. So let's look at the words here. Okay. When I fixed its boundaries and set in place its bars and doors. So proud waves is referencing us to Adam, Beelzebub, Satan, the accuser, his seed against the woman's seed. That's what we have in the earth. You can't see that picture because you simply don't have a heart or a mind to see it or understand it, or a willingness first and foremost. Yeah, he's got a hold of you. Good. So when I fixed its boundaries and set its place, its bars and doors, and declared, you may come this far, but no further. Here, your Adam, harlot, man, Baal, fake image of God, Baal, who is the king of Babylon, and Babylon, the harlot, come down, daughter Babylon. Isaiah 47, there is no throne for you. She says, I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. I'm hid in his heart. You know how she said, because she says, no one sees me. I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. I'm hid in his heart. And he sure ain't going to expose that to you, that he thinks of you as nothing more than a harlot, a common, somebody to sleep with, somebody to produce his children with. Oh, they're in his children. Screw you, mother and daughter, no children for you out of your own womb. You told the potter, the creator, the maker, that she had no power over her own creation. Yet, by understanding these words, we understand who has full power and authority over the womb. So we'll go into interlinear here on these words in Job 38:10. So she says, and when I fixed, I can't quite see it, 6, 7, I need to enlarge it. I can do that. I keep forgetting I can actually enlarge this. Okay, so there we go. I can see it now. So she says, and when I fixed. So that word is 7665. So I don't remember what I come up with on that. So let's look into it. The burst. So I fixed it. Shatter, destroy. So she fixes this so that we actually have to be able to burst forth. And there is understanding on the bursting forth out of the Old Testament when she is able to break up the way. So there's a bursting forth of this reborn Holy Spirit out of the womb of Sheol. She says, know ye whence the quarry, the rock from whence you are quarried from. Well, it says, if what does it say? If the root is holy, if the first fruits are holy, then the root is holy. So she was always holy, is what she's telling us. So this womb of Sheol is actually going to end up birthing the righteous children out of her. So she's saying, I've always maintained control because a boundary was set, and it was set by me, the creator of both heaven and earth. I set them. So she also says, though, she comes in on behalf of her daughter, right? And there's this, you can't prove that, you can't prove that. Yeah, you can, with your brain and your reasoning and a heart to want the truth and liberty for all. You can prove it to yourself, Isaiah 49. Remove the he pronoun. It'll start to make sense. She says, you come from my womb. But the daughter says in confusion, who has begotten me these? And they'll say, it was father and son that begot them for you. Begot there is birth. She says, and the mother says, you will bind them now on thee as a bride doeth. You get coming up actually with the image of the Christmas tree. And why I don't celebrate Christmas in a manner that, Jesus in the manger and the tree, Israel is identified as a fir tree. She's also identified as the light of the world in this same passage. She's also identified as a lily. So we know we come up with the lilies of the covenant, which we've looked at in multiple videos on Ruth Abbey. And so we come up with the lilies of the covenant in passages like Psalm 108 would be one. There's multiple ones called the lilies of the covenant, and it's actually identifying the righteous daughters that come out of the womb of Sheol. But she says, no, you're not the rock from which you are quarried from. We're quarried from our mother, who is the foundation stone that was denied in the beginning for the harlot spirit in man's heart, who says, no one sees me. He brings his seed that has been taught his God, fake God, making him God of this world, and therefore God over the law, which was to become coming from her tongue, which he rejected and refused. So the children then swings to be his children. He is Baal, king of Babylon. Another name for Baal is Lord of Dung, which is why we focus on dung so much. King of Babylon. And she's handing her hosts, her children, over to his religious line-law. So it's us daughters that's got to come out of the womb. And we're cut from her, our mother. the original root, which was always there. She's always been there for us, for when we're willing to hear and listen. And so that took us to our study in Romans 11, the elect. So it says they wake up as if they're drunk on wine. That's your wine, your admixture of religious lie in the cup, which is this blood god, which allows the blood law system to violate us. You're not washed in blood, you're stained in blood. You're washed in her truth, takes you to Isaiah 55. Then it also takes us to Isaiah 4:4, and why she specifies, I will wash the blood and filth. The word for filth there is human excrement, husband's dung, lies. Which also takes us to the passage in Malachi 2. She says, I will smear dung on your face for what you have done, you liars. You are partial in your law system. And you are completely partial to yourselves. And you violated my daughters. You violated the wife of your covenant. So draw the water from the well while she is still here, and you are able to draw from it. Now, so we looked at the proud waves. So we're looking at the fixed right here in this word. 7665. It is used in various contexts throughout the Old Testament to describe the physical breaking of objects, the breaking down of cities or walls, and metaphorically to describe the breaking of hearts or spirits. The term conveys a sense of destruction or disintegration, often as a result of divine judgment or human action. So this is also the reason why it's fixed, right? Which this is what this word is supposed to be. So in ancient Israelite culture, the concept of breaking was often associated with divine judgment or the consequence of sin. The breaking of physical objects such as pottery or walls symbolized the fragility of human endeavors and the ultimate authority of God over creation. The breaking of a covenant or a heart was seen as a serious breach of relationship. And that's exactly what he did. She goes into deep mourning, and in a sense, she falls asleep into the religious lie, Romans 11. We looked at that word. But then we get the verse in Isaiah 77, 78, maybe 74. The Lord will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, the admixture of religious lies. And she says the presence of God, when they parted the admixture the first time to birth the children out through the birthing canal, identified as the Red Sea, your red wine in your cup. She says, after I brought you through it, the admixture of religious lies and laws came over my pathway, my footprints, and you did not see them. But then she says in Isaiah 42, long time have I held my peace. How will I go forth as a travailing woman? I'm finally going to bring forth my seed. And I'm going to stop raising my children on the religious lies of Baals. The Baal that came out of Egypt, first identified as a golden calf bull god. Well, who's a bull god today? Jesus. Meaning a Mordecai follower of Marduk. Look Marduk up. Another name for Marduk is Baal. So Mordecai was a follower of establishing Baal, male kings who eventually over time turned themselves over to gods. We studied that in the Old Testament. That's exactly what they were doing. They were getting themselves worshipped. So kings become gods. And God says, you didn't want me, you wanted a king. And you can't understand it. And you know what? It don't reason. It's Father that gives life to everything. And yet he says this, you are without excuse not to understand my Godhead. I manifested it in what I created for your eyes to bear witness to. We got to go to Jonah 2. Yet he says, no, she says this. This is called using your brain. It's called using wisdom. Oh, I'm too far ahead. So we go to Isaiah. Most of the women, you already know this. This is for any of the new ones, it's along. So Isaiah, what does she say in Isaiah 46? They got it hemmed. And you women, shame on you. for going, don't you touch my Jesus. I'll touch your idol. I'll touch him and I'll shove him right down when we smash the toes and feet on that male idolatrous image that has caused you to play man's harlot and hand your house over to a religious lie and law system and let him steal from you. You know what steal means in the New Testament? To deceive, to lie, and to accuse, which is what he did to her. Oh, if my accuser man, and that's the exact word in this verse, if you want to look it up, had written his accusations in a book, I would wear it like a crown upon my head, and in the end I will use it to exonerate myself when I awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on his wine. You see it in I Pet Goat too, but they don't want to understand it. They've got the woman seed, the egghead there that's cracked. The woman seed, she's got the yolk all down her dress there, yellow. And you see beside her head, you see syringes and drugs. They've drugged her. They've put her to sleep in a religious lie. And who's tormenting her? The Assyrian. There, my people went down into Egypt, and there the Assyrian oppressed them there. She says, there, Adam dealt treacherously, unfaithfully with me there. And we studied the meaning of Sennacherib's name. And it took us, he has reshaped the brethren. And there they dealt treacherously with me. There they refused my law. They went against me. They blasphemed me, the Holy One of Israel, these holy daughters. So, Isaiah 46, what does she say? She says, hearken unto me, O house of Jacob. Who stole her birthright? Jacob did. And all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born, carried by me from the belly, from the womb. My womb, who has a womb? Oh, Daddy, it's Daddy and his children. Only Daddy knows the due date. She's the one that travails in pain. She's the one that knows when the child is due, not Daddy. But you give all glory to Father and Son, and you deny the Creator, the Maker. And you did it in the days of your youth when men like Mordecai took possessions of little girls after they murdered the wise women inside the nation of Israel, murdered the ones that wouldn't flip to their lie, and they were murdered. That's why we get them offering up blood in it's supposed to be a water libation, which is a testimony that men will receive the law off of the righteous spirit's tongue, and they began to offer up a blood libation. Yeah, instead of water. So somewhere here in the world of man, practicing the deeper arts of this religion to keep this book in play, they're actually offering up blood libation to keep this law in place. There's a stacking here. There's a stacking. Also, you know, we're said to live in a three-dimensional reality. So we live at the bottom of this creation, but we're kind of set out in that lower creation until the judging, the controversy of Zion, until she can bring forth her case. So she says, long time have I been silent, now will I go forth as a travailing woman. I will destroy your religious lies and law system, and I will lead you in pathways that you did not see. Because your religious lie, admixture of wine on the table representing the Red Sea, came over and covered my pathways. Now I'm going to present my case. I forget where I was going. So anyway, I'm sorry. I have so many thoughts. And so we're trying to pull it all together as that little book. But we know that they began to offer up a blood libation because they murdered the wise women and were shown these sacred gemstones, is kind of your understanding, which he claims is these stones on the breastplate, which represents the tribes of Israel. Oh, male. Man can bring forth life all by himself. Now, she's the womb, she's the creator, she's the maker of all things. Without her, nothing goes forth. Nothing. Which is why she has so much power. And it's a power that we can't really fully comprehend in this 3D reality. So when we look out into the heavens, if we're only a three-dimensional reality, how can we see the heavens for what they really are supposed to be? Now, they claim the Vatican possesses a telescope, right? Called, I believe they say it's called Lucifer. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's come up in some of the things that I read. So, why do they need a telescope? Why does the Vatican need a telescope? I mean, the fact is, if we look at it in the sense that we can only see in 3D, when we look out into the heavens, into the second heaven, the second dimension, then we get the third, which is where God is said to dwell. We can't see the heavens the way we're supposed to, can we? Really? Which would then address why the Vatican needs a telescope to look out. They've created a telescope, in my opinion, that probably can see in far more than just in three realities or three dimensions, right? It can see what it's supposed to look like, perhaps. Perhaps. It's just, I studied this a long time ago on Ruth Abbey. It might be one of the videos I took down. I took down a lot of videos because I was still into Jesus, right? Which was a process I had to come through. I didn't know in the beginning. There's a lady here, she says she's nervous about starting a channel. I ain't forcing you into starting a channel. You have to know your own calling. And I think God will place that upon you over time. And I'll tell you, I didn't want to go out and make a channel, which I think actually put me behind in the time frame. I actually think I lagged enough that it put me behind a little bit, which is why the Lord kept giving me the word, make haste, make haste, make haste. You're behind on your time frame here. So I was a little bit behind on my time frame because I had the key of David in September of 2017. I had the key. I knew what it was. And I kept thinking, well, should I go make a video? Should I do a video? And da-da-da-da. And I kept, because I am such a nervous type, who would think that now watching my videos of late? But in the beginning, I was so nervous in making a video. But I think the Lord knew then that if I did not go forth at that time to do a video, that I was not going to continue on in the studies to the degree that I have, that the Spirit has led me down this pathway. I actually had to do this in order to come to the understandings that I've come to. So recognizing Jesus as an idol was a process in due time over the 7 years of these studies. It didn't begin. I don't think it was until like the 4-year mark, maybe the 3-year mark, that I began to recognize that Jesus was actually the idol of the Antichrist that was actually suppressing us women. So during the first 3 years that we were doing our climb, we were still talking about Jesus as the anointed one. And so because I thought it was going to add in so much complication for any newbies, for any new ones coming online to watch my videos, they would maybe backtrack and watch this, go, well, why is she talking about Jesus as the anointed one, and then here she's not? So I removed, I can't even tell you how many videos I removed. And, if you can give me your opinion in the comments, do you think I should maybe post them back up? Because they're just privatized. They're still up. And so I tend to fluctuate whether I should put them back up or if it's just going to add so much confusion. Give me your opinion on that, would you? Let me know if you think I should go back in and list them all in the order that we studied them in. Because under those videos, there's a lot of writing under those videos that can be gleaned for further information. Or do you think it's just too confusing? I cannot talk. One tooth is completely gone. I still got this one that I'm dealing with. Anyway, so it's causing me to have a weird mouth, and I've talked like this for so long, I can't remember how I used to talk. You got to retrain yourself. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. But is it confusing to leave those videos up, or should I leave them in the order that they're there? I mean, I've gave multiple warnings, but unless you hit on particular videos, you're going to bypass those warnings that I have on, how we came to the understanding that Jesus was in fact the Antichrist, the idol that they had taken thousands of years to build upon, which is also why the world was so easily and readily receive Beelzebub, bridegroom, Satan, who got himself worshipped man, Adam, the first man. Sennacherib falls into that category. King Solomon falls into that category. Most of the men in the Old Testament we find falling in that category, with exceptions to Elijah. He did not fall into that category. And Gideon, one of my favorite male names. I love that name, Gideon. Sorry, but I had a dog named Gideon years ago because I love the name so much. I also love the name Silas. But that aside, Gideon was fighting against Baal. And this Baal Berith means covenant in Hebrew, and El Berith, these harlot daughters who agreed to go along with this. So we see Gideon actually and Elijah, two men willing to fight for the covenant of these righteous daughters, which are completely removed from the context and use where it's just all about man, that's it. Got nothing to do with him violating her covenant and taking her sovereign authority away from her over her own children and creation and the right to write the law. Yeah, that was her authority. That was her sovereign. The creation belongs to her because she creates it. And he wants to implement that law and he refused. So back to Isaiah 46, what does he say? They've gutted him. Reason it out, right? Let's use our brain. So hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born, carried by me from the belly, from the womb, which are carried from the womb, and even to your old age, till the time when you are wise. I am he, Father Earth, Father Womb. Yeah, screw you, mother and daughter. I, man, will have my own seed. That's the enmity against yours. And even to your old age, I am he. And even to your white hairs, gray hairs, will I carry you. Yeah, you carry children for 9 months. No, you don't. Mother does. Don't you see that in creation? Don't you see Daddy's womb, hand, forming the clay? It's not her womb. It's not her body. It's not her travail. It's not her blood. It's all Daddy. Father, 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 and the harlots go, Father and his children. You are a real harlot when you deny your own seed in the land and your own daughters. Shame on you. Well, don't worry, we're going to cut him right away. Don't worry. Because he's the one that put the he pronoun that really seems to confuse a little mind. Even to your white hairs, your gray hairs will I carry you, I have made, and I will bear. Even I will carry and I will deliver you. Who's that? That's actually your Mother Earth. She's your allegory here. Your Mother Earth, which is then pointing you to actually your physical mother that births you. No, you're not. The quarry, or the rock from which you are quarried from? No, apparently not, women. You don't. You think you're made in Daddy's image. And Daddy apparently thinks he has a womb to form clay in. No, he don't. It's her. You denied the Creator. If you turned your back on, it's her. The stone, the rock, the foundation stone that you denied. And guess what? That stone that you denied will smash the feet, the toes, which is your Greek kingdom, your Roman kingdom that furthered on this image and got it standing so good. Jesus. Yeah, she's going to smash it. And she warned you, if you don't fall down upon this stone and recognize your mother and your creator, in the end, she's going to crush you. Yeah, she's going to crush the head. Yeah, the head. The one that you claim is our head. I don't have a male head. I have a female head. You ought to recognize that with your own friggin' eyeballs. Oh no, but this is proud and boastful of the man. Okay, I think we've studied that word enough. We got to get moving. I'm sorry, I've talked too much. Shatter, smash. I did, however, I think it was this word. I picked out two words that really showed what took place. Brokenhearted and smash. And we also get point of birth, right? So she's fixed it so nobody can come out. But she fixed it with a bar and a bolt. Okay, so we're going to go look at that too. So she become brokenhearted. That takes us back to the Shulamite who goes into deep mourning. So she says, a false light is shone upon me, made me black. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard. When the woman, she's allegorized as too. First, she gets the credit of being a harlot in the land. We know man calls women harlots and this and that. We call ourselves that, don't we? And the Bible does. So I'm going down through this line. So blackness means to go into a process of deep mourning. The false light that denies her vineyard causes that mourning upon her. So she says, what? Israel stumbled that she should fall. Should Israel not obtain that which she seeketh for? That's her children. So for those who wants to bring color into this and say, well, we're God's chosen people, and I don't care what color you are. You're only God's chosen people when you are holding up God's law. That's what Israel means. God's people called Israel are those who are obtaining to the truth and upholding the law of mother wisdom. That's who is identified as people. It's not about color. We've all been blackened by the false light. We women have bowed to, in religion anyway, we have bowed to this idol. I did. I'm not denying that. I was greatly deceived into it. But there came a time when I come down to my knees because I saw what the men were preaching off the pulpit, and I defined it or identified it as exactly what it was in their heart, as hate towards us. And that's just what it came down to. And I fell to my knees one night and I said, why did you even bother making me? We're so hated by mankind. It ain't even funny. Why did you even bother? And it was at that point that I realized she was waiting for me to come down to where she could begin to teach me the truth. I had to receive the comfort of the Spirit. I did at that time as a woman. I had to open myself to her comforting, my mother's comforting, that would teach me the truth and comfort me with that truth and not his lie and hate off the pulpit that has subjugated us and took our liberties and our rights from us. So this is why we get brokenhearted. Again, it's not about a color of a people. So, and so it's got me thinking Israel, this isolated Israel, it's like they're so special. It's showing you a specialness of a people that will come out of all nations, right? It's not a race. It's not a culture. It's about a people that will come away from all nations holding the law of truth of the Creator, willingly submitting to those righteous and gentle laws of our Creator. So it's not about color of skin. You can preach color of skin all you want. If you want to get mad about that, there's a verse when we're listening, they're identified as white as milk. When they turn away, they become withered like I forget. It's in Lamentations. Is it in Lamentations? We studied this a long time ago. I think it is. It's in Lamentations. I'm going the wrong way. I know I am. Yeah, I am. Sorry. That's around Jeremiah. Is it before or after Jeremiah? I can't remember. Big deal. Oh, you gotta know the books of the Bible. We were hammered that in our youth. And I knew them just like that, but I can't remember them now. Is it in? Let me see. Did I circle it? Let's see if we can find it. But it speaks to us when we're obeying the Lord's laws, right? The true Lord's. Not man lying his backside off. Let me see. Was it 4? Was it in 4? Let me see. There it is. So, I mean, we don't want to bring color into this. Color, when we keep preaching color, we keep preaching division. We keep preaching racism. We do. And we do get the allegories in the Bible, but it's about the heart. And we know this is about the heart, it's about the mind, a wise mind. It's about an illuminated way of thinking. When Moses come down, he had to put a veil on, a veil. Well, that ought to tell you something right there. But the light was so bright. He had been illuminated with the truth, is your understanding. And when you look at the Templars and you look at the mysteries all over time, there's this skull that they'll often show and point to in this dark riddle. It's pointing to the illumination knowledge of the mind. It's wisdom they're pointing to. They're trying to point you to wisdom. And to have wisdom, you got to have understanding. To have understanding, you got to have willingness. And that all leads to knowledge. But what does it say in Lamentations 4? Her Nazarites were purer than snow. Well, you would think, what? Are they all white? No. But if we want to fight some more, we can fight. Let's not fight. Let's quit pointing out our differences. Let's start focusing on what makes us everyone alike. So her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. So were they blue people too? I mean, you look at it. Their visage is now blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. So that takes us to this Shulamite right here. And so that was found in Lamentations 4, verses 7 and 8. So it's not about color. You get it? God is saying, when you're upholding my way and my statutes, you are my children. You are walking in light. Right? But the Shulamite says, look not upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard. My own seed. Right? Because his enmity came against her, have I not kept. So then we come up with the word return, O Shulamite. So that's why this word brokenhearted came to me, because it does lead us to the word black. It means to be brokenhearted. It means to be in great mourning. And we also get to crush, smash, shatter. So that's all to do with crushing the serpent's head that beguiled the woman into this snare, the Fowler snare. So restrain, it also means to restrain. So she fixed it. And we're restrained by what? So break down, off in pieces, brokenhearted, bring to the birth, crush, destroy, hurt, quench, tear, view, broken, to burst. So she fixed it so nothing could come out. So she's got, and when I fixed for it, my limit. This is an important word. This was one of the very important words. Excuse me. What's my limit? What do you think limits mean? I fixed my statute, my decree, my ordinance, my law, my regulation. All right, let's examine that. What's your first commandment? First commandment, that the entire 7.4 billion that's in religion are in violation of. The first commandment, thou art to have no other God before thee. You are to make no idol, neither male nor female, but you are to follow my statutes, my decree, my ordinance, my law, my regulations. If you come out of the womb believing in the idol of a man and father and Jesus and denying your creator in the days of your youth, guess what? You are dead in the womb. You can follow and be the nicest person, but if you're holding up an idol or an image like it's all over the internet, look at him, he's everywhere. That Hebrew name that they began to prophesy through. She said, I didn't tell you to worship my daughters. I told you to uphold their law that came off their tongue, which was their authority and their sovereign. And you tore it away from them. You denied it. You pierced, you struck her with your poison, Baal. But I knew what you were from the beginning. So it also means to engrave, to inscribe. So what did she say? Let's go back. So she says, I fixed its boundaries and set in place its bars and doors. And when I fixed for it my limit, I set a place, right? An enactment, an appointment, a decree, an ordinance. Unless you're holding the truth of God on your tongue and her law system, you don't come out of this womb. And you certainly don't come out of it believing in a male idol. Nope. An ordinance. So this is corresponding Greek Hebrew entries. It's 1345. An ordinance or a requirement often used in the New Testament to refer to righteous acts or decrees. 3551, which means law, nomis. So he's the antinomian, we discovered, the antichrist. Jesus is, in fact, the antichrist because he is the way that man rules through this image of Jesus. You don't have to say he's the antichrist, but he absolutely is identified as the one that they have built up for thousands of years from Daniel to. They began in the Old Testament far back, which is why we're able to recognize this as the spell book that's holding our current creation together, full of religious lies and laws and spells written by man to encapture the true creator, which is she. So that she would create for him the creation that he wanted. But the harlot says, no one sees me, right? She's hid in his heart. So when the Shulamite returns back, return, what might we shew when the Shulamite returns? As it were the company of two armies. Well, Jesus, the idol, founded on something, founded on some kind of script that they were working from. So they have hid a lot from us. Told us that one army, one of heaven's army, is 72,000. That's what he told us in the new. This idol. I tend to think it's Joshua. I saw Joshua in a dream. He certainly didn't want my bowing to him or my worshiping of him, and no more than Mother did. I saw that in a dream. So yeah, Joshua exists, but it ain't Jesus the idol saying, I made everything. Now, wrong story. But 72,000 is one army, or one camp. So the Shulamite is seen with a double camp, which is 144,000. And they are the first fruits that returns back to the law of wisdom, the creator. Our mother, the creator, the maker, the potter. And so the Shulamite, with the Shulamite, if anybody has bothered to study Song of Songs, using your wisdom to do that with, mother's wisdom to do that with, you also recognize that they are called she-goats. The she-goat becomes very fundamental in our understanding. She's also known as a lily, the lilies of the covenant, which is also identified as a rose of Sharon. We also identified that the nations were like thorns. The man's seed was like thorns that came against her and was piercing upon the rose of Sharon, which was Israel herself. And they were working to ensnare the lioness, or these strong scepters, rulers, the sovereigns, in their snare so they could silence her voice on the hills of Israel. That's found in Ezekiel 19. She is our mother who runs like a vine in our blood from the original root. So if the root is holy, so too the branches, the new ones that's coming forth. These are the 144,000 first fruits with the daughter, the Shulamite. who then returns back. So return. What might we see when the Shulamite returns, as it were, the company of two armies? So the she-goat is important because she appears in Genesis 15:9. And she's the she-goat there. Then you get this ram. The ram, I saw him sitting to the left of Mother Wisdom in a dream. You can say, oh, you're making that all up. Whatever. To the left, he sat there. And when I was stooped and bowling, I was like standing outside of myself. And I was able to bear witness to the whole proceedings of what was going on. Now, there was three, and they weren't thrones. They were chairs. And they were up on this slightly raised pedestal, very slight. It wasn't like this big old picture that they show these men all built up with, most men are smaller than a lot of women that I can see. They're not so built up. There's some big men, but, and there's some violent men, and they love it. They think that makes them king and God. Well, God says you wanted a king, you didn't want me. But anyway, in this picture, Mother sat there, the sun set to her left, not the right. Because at the right is representing the spirit and the eternal days that she can provide for you. At that time, the right chair was empty. So this was years ago, and I believe it was a calling of the 144 wonders, 144,000 wonders that you see in Zephaniah 4 that they try to say is men. These are great men to be wondered at. No, these are daughters. Who does attain to the truth, and they attain to it by refusing to bow to the image of Baal, which is a male idol of your husband, Jesus, bridegroom, and Allah and Yahweh, which come out of Israel, which according predates much of, what we know. But then they try to toss you this lie of bloodlines and all this crap. The little book has validated to me that we have hit a truth that they do not want us finding. That little book that I found sealed up has validated that is the truth that they are trying to hide. They are trying to toss you other storylines. They're trying to toss you this sacred bloodline that goes way back before time. They may well be. But the little book here sealed up is the truth, because they are told that by the laws of heaven, they have to provide the truth somewhere. When we find that truth, they become fearful that we are able to open that gateway. Because in the day that we can open that gateway, judgment will fall upon that bloodline claiming to be so special. Now, they can twist the truth all around, even the bloodlines that they're claiming this is this and this is this. This is just a storyline they're throwing at us to prevent the spirit, the reborn spirit in the earth, from finding the little book of truth sealed up in this book of shadows, this spell book written by Baal, Satan. And what does it say? He chose to set his house amongst the stars, Obadiah 1. Yet she says, from thence will I bring you down. And I'll use the little book of truth to do that with. So, the statute, the law. You don't go out without mother's conditions, her boundary. You're not going to go past this boundary without the truth. And that means removing the image of Baal, not bound to husband, bridegroom, lord, and master. I have reserved to myself 7,000 that have not bowed their knee to Baal. They were marked with not a cross, with an X, the chromosome mother, the mitochondrial DNA, where the energy of life flows through. That ain't Father. Father don't have the womb. Father ain't the creator. Oh, Father can crap a lot. And the father of this world did, making him known as the Lord of Dung, which he says, I'm going to spread on your face for what you have done. So where's that? That's in Malachi. This is a real long video. Sorry about that. Maybe you can watch it in parts. I'm just trying to really get through a lot for any one that may hit on it briefly, that there'll be something there that they can grab onto. I'm looking for Malachi, which is towards the end here. Oh, come on. Isn't it the last? Yeah, it's the last. Is it Yeah, it's Malachi 2, where she says that, I believe. And she's talking about the false priests who wrote false laws and turned on the daughters. This is another man. He turned on another. Men love to build men up. They're in love with their own image themselves. That's the abomination of desolation. She becomes a desolate spirit. Her children are no longer hearkening to the spirit of her covenant. She becomes the desolate Lord. It says this Lord will awaken like a mighty Lord that's been drunk on wine, right? Like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, this Lord awakens. So that's the Red Sea allegory that she has to part your red wine. And Malachi, what does she say? And now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, the Creator's name. So what did it mean not to have glory? It meant that they went daddy, 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 father, 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 son, 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 he. And you know what that did? That gave them every right to tear her down. So she says, when you do that and deny my name, saith the Lord of hosts. She's the true Lord of hosts. She's the one that births creation. She's the part of the maker. She's the one with the womb. Yeah, even the eternal womb out there. That's right, the one that you deny, the one with all power. I will curse your blessing. Yeah, yea. I have cursed them already, because you did not lay it to your heart. You didn't care. You have no compassion. It's mother that has the compassion. She says, behold, I will corrupt your seed, and I will spread dung upon your faces. It's taking you to the Lord of dung, Baal. Even the dung of your solemn feast. She says, I hate your feasts. Their feasts are used to build up a male idol. That's what their feasts are used for. And one shall take you away with it. So read Malachi 2 and understand that the spirit in view here is the wife of the original covenant. She's the spirit that they don't want to say is spirit, but she's the spirit that he denied. The wife of the original covenant. And he dealt treacherously Baal, and he married the daughter of a strange god. The daughter of a strange god is the daughter of Baal. Bridegroom, husband, Lord, master, the original father of this creation, Baal, and raised up harlots. We see Mordecai taking possession of the next generation of little girls to teach her what? How to bow to a king. He should have never been the one teaching her. It should have been a wise woman teaching this little girl the truth of her own sovereignty in this land, not his. But hey, you boys didn't want me. You wanted your king, and you taught the little girls how to bow to you and give their power and their goods over to your lie, handing over their children, which is exactly what we're told happened. So there we go with allotment, something prescribed, a statute. I don't think there was anywhere here I needed to look at. Civil enactments, decrees. So we get the idea that the door or the place, the limit that she sets is her law. She don't tolerate us unless we're upholding her law and have not bowed our knee to no idol. Baal, law, ordinance, portion, a set time is there too. So we did a study on that as well. At that time, knowledge will increase and they will go to and fro in the earth. That's a representation of the spirit in the earth. And the word that we looked at there was not the word that they gave. We looked at Strong's Hebrew. I think it was Strong's Hebrew. 227 is the word we looked at. So at that time. And she also says, at that time, my spirit will be right amongst you. She is walking right amongst us. So it's through daughters like me that the spirit walks, right? That's what she's telling us. So it's not just me. Her spirit is here amongst you, and you're not listening. She comes like a thief in the night through daughters like me. She actually is inhabiting our bodies. When we open our mind, our spirit up to her, and allow her to fill us with her truth. And for those who goes, no, it's man, the power in his arm. Look, it proves he's God. It says the power of their God is in their arm. And it is to punch your head in, girls, and to take your rights from you and tell you that he's God. There's no spirit of truth in these men. There's pride. There's arrogance. And all they want to preach is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Oh, she's so enraptured. The church, supposedly. It's a mock at the woman. She's so dizzy-headed and enraptured with his, get this, his coming. Let you think on that twisted one. It's pretty sick. That's exactly why they said it. Because these men were sick and they still are. His head, oh, the child's going to be birthed in his body. His body, which you're claiming is female, is going to be birthed. Church. Sorry, no, not church. God's people. That ain't a church. That's her people. Began as her daughters. It's going to be birthed. And he's her head. Right. You can keep your idol. You can keep your man-made law. And you can keep your pride. I'm going to be birthed into mother's truth, not into husband's lies. So we did, and when I fixed for it my limit, so we did these words, 7665, these are Hebrew, and we did 2706. And she says, set. Now, did I look at this word, 7760? I better get moving here because we want to come up on something. To put, place, appoint, make. Okay, so we're going to move down here because I want to see if this is the word. Set or appoint. This is not the word. So we'll go through it pretty quick. Appoint, assign. We do have our assignments. It could mean that. So she's, again, right there, right off the, we're appointed at a set time, which kind of makes me think of the passage in Job 8, which we identified as feminine. They want to put Orion as male. They want to put the original representation of these constellations were female. I can't find it right off. I'm in the wrong chapter, that's why. 8, she says, who can call forth? If I can find it. May not be 8. I think it was 8. I do want to find this though, because this is a fascinating passage. Right there. It is 9. Job 9, verse 9. Which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and the Pleiades in the chambers of the south, which doeth great things past finding out, yea, and wonders without number. That's not it. She says, who has called forth? I forget. Oh, let me look it up, because I'm not letting this go. This is an important verse. It may be Job 4 that I said that. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the search engine here and see if we can find it. Okay, forgive me for this lull. Who has called forth in their time? Can you call forth? Let me look it up. I hope my camera don't blink off. Okay, so verse in Job. Oh, it's right in. It's right in the chapter we're looking at. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? So what's in the Pleiades? It's a constellation of 7 sisters. That's actually a representation of the sevenfold spirit of the heifer. That's not Taurus. It's not a bull. They made it into a bull god. But the representation was of the heifer, which was of Israel, which represented the 7 daughters, which was the sevenfold spirit of Mother Wisdom. So she says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Well, we did. We actually did. Because we find linked to Orion's belt is actually the 3 pyramids in Egypt. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? And these 3 stars in Orion's belt, they'll call the 3 Marys. Again, we get the feminine aspect always allegorized as the spirit, who is the creator of all things. The spirit is what creates. It's not the physical image, which is more likened to masculine. It's actually the spirit that does all these things. So can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Now, Orion, in the old world, before they again took her glory away, used to have this long string of hair of stars representing her glory, and she was a great huntress. In the old world, the Arabians saw Orient as a great female huntress, and then they ripped her glory away, and you slowly saw the floating away of her hair, her glory. Her hair represented her glory. So she says, when the waters become hard as stone, so that's ice, right? And the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades or loosen the belt of Orion? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons? Or lead out the bear and her cubs? Yeah. You see all the allegory overlaid of the feminine as the spirit that can lead her own children out. That's what you see. She says, I alone can unbind this, me, because I'm the one that bound it or allowed it to be bound. And we know that she turned to become their enemy. She says, I'll let you have your wicked ways. And you'll do me a favor and you'll actually take yourselves out. When you don't hearken to my law, that's exactly what you end up doing. So it's interesting that this verse is here. It needs more study. I actually did study it lightly. It wasn't the focus of the study, but it come into several of our studies, and we did take a look at it. So we do come up with the she-goat. They want to say Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Ursa Major, the Big Dipper. Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper. But you look at it the right way. And they used to be 3 leaps of the gazelle, these 2 stars, 2, 2, 2, which was the feet on the Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, which was the 3 leaps of the gazelle, which was actually the she-goat, which is the hind in the Bible, which takes us to the verse in Proverbs 5. It says, she is like a hind, where he was to receive his waters from. But then we see Gilead. They will come, your hair is like a flock of she-goats that comes down from Mount Gilead. What did Mount Gilead link back to? A rock pile. Why a rock pile? Because they tore her well of water down. That's what they did. And they dug into a pit, a place, the womb of Sheol, the harlot spirit, so they could steal her house and play God. They dug into a place. It says, you did not hearken to the creator of this well. She says, you changed the flow of the water. You made a ditch, and you changed the upper pool, upper Beth-horon, to lower Beth-horon, so they would receive his tainted waters, his dung. And it does so say that he peed in her waters, her well water. You get it? Do I have to draw a picture what he was doing? And who was the creator of Upper Beth-horon and Lower Beth-horon? She built 3 cities. Shira. Who is she? Who is she? She's our kinswoman. Look her name up. That's what it means. Our kinswoman, Shira, who made 3 cities. Upper Beth-horon, Lower Beth-horon, and Uzan Shira. What did Uzan Shira mean? Listen to Shira. Listen to your kinswoman. And you know what the boys were doing? They were denying her well of water. And they made her pile a ruinous heap, which leads to the word Zion. which means, guess what? A dry desert land. That's what they have created. Destruction. Okay. So we were under this word right here. Put in place, set. So we see why we're denied, why she denied us. We do. This is the coming together of the truth of the Spirit that is the one that's going to release us from being bound. Pick thyself up out of the dust of the earth, dear daughter of Zion, and take back thy throne of power. Thy authority was never his. Come down, daughter Babylon. There is no throne for you. There never was, just because he set himself up on high. Obadiah. Okay, and then we're going to look up this final word, which is a very important word. Where's Obadiah? This is one I always have trouble. It's tucked in somewhere here. It's always hard to find for me. We're going to look at the word Jonah. So Obadiah 1, we found what? Him doing what? The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. So we see satyr, which means a he-goat. He climbed to her throne of authority, basically, is your understanding, which was the right to write the law. We see Sinai, Mount Sinai, meaning a desolation. And there we actually see, after he tosses the she-goat, the scapegoat, down, he actually dispenses the law, his law, is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Well, he certainly has built Jesus up so high, right, that he really thinks he's inaccessibly high. Jeremiah 50:51 tells us that he thinks he is inaccessibly high, built up by the harlot in the land, that no one can find what he has daubed up in his wall, which is a harlot spirit, or that Baal is the king of Babylon, preaching himself as God. He thinks no one can bring him down. He's the feet and idol is Jesus. But every successive male kingdom ruled by these kings professing themselves as gods has built upon this idol of a man as God and forced her down to her knees, handing over her house, her children, to bow down to this religious lie and law. And you have denied your creator in the days of your youth, who was your foundation stone, your rock. So, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So we get the idea also that she leaves a rear guard behind. So it's your reward is the word. And she leaves the rear guard behind to take it down, to bring it down. If the thieves, to discover the truth, thou will bring it down. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? But he didn't. He steals and steals and steals until he absolutely destroys everything, including himself. If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Oh, but he leaves none. So greedy of gain, these men of power, teaching a religious idol, making money, money, money. You can't figure it out. And stealing her rights, her goods, and her house, her womb, saying it's his. Oh my, he's father of the children. And the harlots that actually preach us off their tongue. They're filth to mother. You're filthy. Come wash at her waters. Isaiah 55. Believe. Believe means buy. It doesn't mean to purchase with the blood of an idol. That'll never wash you clean. It'll stain you in a blood system, in a violent system, his system. Okay, so let's go to this word that I'm really interested in. Bars. This is the word that took me to Jonah, I believe. So this is Strong's Hebrew 1280, Biriak. I'm not probably pronouncing that right. That's fine. It means a bar, bolt, meaning to flee or to go through. Now, this is interesting because this is also how we get through the gate. It's telling us how we get through it, but we got to follow it back. She says, who can tell me what happened from generation to generation? So she's saying, who can tell me what happened from beginning to end? Who? Who can order their conversation aright? That takes us to the Shulamite. who puts the proverbs in order and the dark sayings, the riddles, which ends up being the little book sealed, held in the seventh angel's hand, proclaiming her own birthright. She has her foot set on land and sea. She is also identified as a seventh trumpet. But listen to those men preaching themselves as God. Go for it. So why there's no direct Greek equivalent to this word? The concept of a bar or bolt can be related to Greek terms like kleos, meaning key. Oh, a key. What did we discover? I had this key in my hand on this exact date. Now, God had placed the key in my hand, and I knew I had it. And that was at the eclipse of September 21, I believe. August 21, 2017. And that day became very important to me because that's actually my birthday. So on that day, I actually knew I had found all the passages, and I knew I was looking at the key. All right, I knew I had the key. It was not until, and this is the date that I knew I had the key, September, not 23 or 24, September 21, 2017. I knew exactly what the key was, and I knew what it was referencing. It was referencing the daughter of Zion. The daughter, the firstborn daughter. Now, I didn't realize she was the firstborn until much study after that. I don't think, anyway. Sometimes I'll look back and I knew more than I realized I knew at set times. So we get a key here as the bolt, right? So you're not getting out without the key. And the key is not going to bow to the image of Baal. They're going to bow to mother's laws. And they're going to recognize themselves as the sovereign of the kingdom that was denied in the rock and the foundation stone. And that he, Satan, Adam, Beelzebub, the accuser, stole her seed. That's right. He's the enmity that comes against her. So the Hebrew word beriach primarily refers to a bar or bolt used for securing doors or gates. It is often used in the context of the tabernacle and temple, where it describes the bars that held the structure together. The term conveys the idea of strength, security, and stability. So she leaves the key here. She actually leaves the key with us. And she says, if you can find the key, you can open the door and you can get out. That's quite nice, isn't it? Because she didn't have to leave us the key. But that's what the rear guard is. The rear guard is your key that she leaves behind. Your glory. And she says, my glory will be established in the earth and all will see it. So, again, bar, bolt. But she left us a key to open the door. Fugitive also. So, we become locked up. We're prisoners, trapped in prison houses. We're trapped in the snare, in the Fowler snare. Oh, no, I didn't do what I wanted there, did I? Just a second. We're going back. I think it was this one. Maybe it was the other one. The one that we ain't looked at yet. Let me go down here. It was in the reference. So let me see here. Yes. So this takes us to Jonah. This is important. Now, for those who think Jonah's a male, you haven't studied the name. The name means dove. Dove is feminine, female, dove, which is also allegorized simply as a bird who's been trapped. And we know the dove represents the Holy Spirit. They'll come forth out of what? The Fowler's snare or his ditch. He has laid a snare and he has tried to entrap us in it, but she comes forth out of it. So Holy Spirit, Fowler's snare, she comes away. Pigeon is male. This was important to understand. So dove is female. She says, oh, that I had the wings of a dove, I would fly away in the desert, because she was so humiliated by his accusations. In Psalm 50, you have to get your proper gender context. Oh, he. Yeah. Male pigeon, you're going to find these represented. The dove is female and the pigeon as male in Genesis 15:9, which is the only covenant ever spoken of in the Bible. The only one. Now, the men did bring forth a cow, not a cow, an ox, a male calf. I think it was in Jeremiah 5, which is absolutely a falsehood. There is only one covenant identified, Genesis 15:9. So we absolutely know the dove is female and the male is pigeon. So they were to place that on one side and one side. These are two covenants in the land, right? They didn't hearken to hers. This is a heifer. Israel is identified as a heifer, as the woman's seed that was denied. So when we go here, figurative. So they've got the notes and they've got them listed as 1A, and then they got B, then they got 2. So go to 2. And it'll say figurative of earth, pictured as house out of which Jonah is shot. So when we go to Jonah 2:7, and I do have this one pulled up, he says, when my life, she says it, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Creator, that's allowing this false creation that Adam made by taking possession of her authority, her sovereignty, her house, her children, her womb. Oh, we don't see Donald Trump trying to do that to the women in the States. Take possession of the woman's womb, do we? Bringing in archaic laws. They're the Philistines you were warned about. I remember you, Lord. So she says, when my life was ebbing away, when I was dying, I remembered you. There's my word, 34:15 in Greek. I saw my name. It means to consciously bring to remembering. And it's also your signpost. So it's taking us again to the gateway, the signpost. We might look at that too. I remember you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you into your holy temple. So the Lord does awaken herself to hear the case because she is ancient. Yeah, she's the ancient one that appears in Daniel chapter 8 to hear the case. Yeah, that's the only place where you'll find a judgment. And the judgment is going forth based on the case that the spirit in the earth can bring forth. And we also see that her kingdom is awarded back to her by the ancient. So let's go there. The video's so long, hey, might as well go all the way. Daniel. It's Daniel chapter 8. Oh, I just lost it. Okay. Daniel 8, the Ancient of Days. That's our mother wisdom. They got Eve. All his gray hair. No. Do I have a break here telling me where it is? Oh no. No, no. No, no. Uh, okay, so the Ancient of Days throne, she, wisdom, is found in Daniel 7. But we actually get the restoration of her kingdom back to her, back to the tower, the strong tower of daughter Zion. So we recognize that the tower is represented by the neck on the Shulamite in the Song of Songs. The tower represents your argument, which is why we get the court case going forth here, the controversy. She finally finds her argument, and she gets her covenant restrung in Proverbs 7 because it was unstrung. When the men began to fire their wicked words at her as arrows, firing at the branch that was coming over the wall, in Joseph's blessings in Genesis 49, 23, 24, Baal was firing his wicked, hateful, spiteful words at the true branch of God, these strong scepters that had to climb over the wall, right? Force their way into the heart of man. He's not hearing, he's not listening. So here in Daniel 7 is where you'll get that court case. It's not him. They got him being brought before. She's the one brought with her court case, which he hears. And then in Micah 4, so I had it wrong. It's Micah 4. So connect these for yourselves if you're able. And the Spirit will allow you to if you are desirous. Micah 4. I went past it. I hate it when I do that. So where is it? Here somewhere. Always bypass it. I think it's before that. There it is. So Micah 4, we get the restoration of her throne back to her. And thee, O tower of the flock. Who's the tower identified? Daughter Zion. We will run into the strong tower, Jesus. No, you won't. You know what the Baal-berith were running into? Their strong tower, which was what? The harlot, El-berith. Yeah, go look at the story of Gideon. The men were running into their strong tower, which was the harlot spirit, which now, because the harlot established Baal as Lord and God, Jesus is your strong tower. No, he ain't. Daughter Zion was always your strong argument that defended you. That's your defense and how you're going to get out of the womb of Sheol. And thou, O tower of the flock, and the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, hold to your argument, girls. Get your bows out. Fill your quiver full of the words. That does so translate as a powerful one in the spirit in the next life. You're going to be a powerhouse. You sharpen your sword with the truth. The sword is your word. These men have nothing to fight with. According to this, it's just gone so dull. And they can't hit nothing. They can't hit the broadside of a barn with their bow and arrow now. So, and thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of peace, Jerusalem, peace, to her. But we will make our war in truth. You understand? And we will advance. Proverbs said you will be advanced. You will move ahead through the counsel of many. Yeah. Okay. So here we have Jonah. All right. Gotta go back here. Where are we? When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. So I wanted to look at, so we saw that word. Like, he was shut out, right? He was shut out from the holy temple of God, right? And as her life, well, I said he, but as her life, the dove's life, the Holy Spirit in the earth, as her life was ebbing away, which is representative of us daughters here at the end who has the truth, we remembered our Lord. We remember wisdom, the creator of all things. We remember her. We remember our mother. And Ecclesiastes 12 says, you forgot your creator in the days of your youth. And she did when she was ensnared into the lie by the follower of Marduk, men like Mordecai that we see as the example. Now, there was many more of those, but we'll use him because it's a clear example of what they did to the daughters, teaching them to bow to a king. And they rejected Vashti, who deserved respect and was worthy enough to ask for it. And then they bring in this little girl after they've murdered the women of wisdom. I'm not so sure that they didn't murder Vashti. They'll tell you some historical accounts about her, but I don't know. Their lies are so deep. So anyway, follower of Marduk. So we see all the connections. In my distress, I called upon the Lord. I cried out to my God, and from her temple, she roused herself. She heard me. And my cry for help reached her ears. I was down on my knees in 2011, and I was crying for help, I believe. I didn't recognize that that's what I was doing. There's an old movie, too, called A Cry for Help, and it was based on a true story where the man just about murdered the woman. Hi, there's your cry for help. They are not valiant for the truth in this earth. They just want to perpetuate violence against a woman and call the muscle in their arm God. No. You can take your lie and you can shove it right where it came from. So I wanted to look at the cross references on the dove. Actually, it will not give you dove. It'll give you the bird. Now, dove's number is, and I do have dove wrote down here somewhere. Will I find it, though? in pigeon. Why didn't I write their numbers down? I thought that I did. Oh, I don't know about me. Anyway, what that took me to was the bird that is ensnared in the Fowler's trap. So we'll go to the Fowler's snare, the dove, the Holy Spirit. Okay, so the dove is 3123. It is female. And young bird that they give in the Fowler snare is 1469, which is often translated as sparrow. And they'll give the word peep. So you see them going, my peeps, right? So much of what they say and do is really, in a sense, spells. So the word that they give in for the bird that's ensnared is 6833. It's Strong's Hebrew bird, and it's a sparrow. So again, when we go to, I'll pop this one out, Song of Solomon, Song of Songs 4:1. How beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful your eyes behind your veil are. Doves. Your hair is like a flock of she-goats. Yeah. This also takes us to a picture of the one who's sitting enthroned in Isaiah 6 with her seraphim. Yeah, we studied that. Flock of goats descending from the hills of Gilead. You're descending from the rock pile. You actually the water flowing out of the rock pile that they tried to stymie. We also move down further in this chapter to verse 12, and it says, the spouse, the sister is, shut up, springing forth. So this is actually an image of this she-goat flock, the lilies of the covenant that was denied, and they're flowing like the she-goats that you find identified in the Genesis 15:9 covenant. And if we go to Isaiah 6, we'll get a picture of the bride. And it says her train. And this is a picture of her train right here. Her she-goats following her into the Ancient of Days. That's the image that you are looking at overall. Now, we broke that down a long time ago. We just don't talk about a lot of things. This is all part of the little book that they don't want you to know, that they have tried to hide from you and claim to God in the heavens, our mother, where they are tearing us right down because her testimony is false. It's a lie. It's an accusation made by Satan, who took her seat of power, Adam. Father and his host. That's why he's a father with his host. The harlot spirit in the land that's professing father and his children, handing her children over to him. So in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, in her train. This is an image of the spirit, the woman, the bride. Also, the veil that Moses wore was showing you kind of the image and how illuminated he had become by her. Filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With twain she covered her face, and with twain she covered her feet, and with twain she did fly. That word train is a reference to the bride, the spirit that rules the kingdom. And this is her hair. That's her, also a symbol of authority and power, her glory, her daughters, her sisters, her women, her portion. Her sovereign is to write the laws, and it is these daughters that are actually, expounding it. They're flowing out with it. So Song of Songs 4:12. Let's do that here. Which will also take you to Proverbs 5. You are a garden locked up. A garden. Oh, the lilies locked up. My sister, my bride. No, it's a mother speaking to her daughter. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. So we get this, it's everywhere. We get the mother, wisdom, in the heavens watching her daughter, and she begins to smell fragrant to the mother again, because she's now found the creator of her youth in her youth. We're made in our mother's image, a creator. We represent the creators that are then adopted into the family of God, because the whole creation is groaneth for the adoption of these daughters to create a new creation and get rid of this fake creation that she has actually helped build up. So mother smells her coming out of the earth. We see that picture in Song of Songs is again. And she is a sealed fountain. No longer is she sealed. Right? They tore her well of water down. And that's why Gilead becomes so important. And these she-goats, which is found in the Genesis 59 covenant, are springing now out of that pile of rocks called Gilead. And it's identified as the she-goats, which is where you get your scapegoat from. They were used as your scapegoat. And man has scapegoated her for everything. Oh, it just went down. Did it go down? Did it stop? Well, it's still going. Good. Okay, so we're going to look at the Fowler snare really quick here, and we will be done. So we're going to look at the references now. There's many references here to the Fowler snare. Oh, it's unbelievable. It will exit for no reason. So Psalm 124, I still had the prior tab up. And we're going to look at the cross references of this particular verse. What verse was it? The proud waters. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Right? Their lies. That was the water that they began. So she says in verse 7, our soul is escaped as a bird, as the dove. Out of the snare of the fowlers, the snare is broken and we are escaped. We broke down their lie. Can you call forth? Can you call them forth? Only the Spirit can call them forth. She alone. That takes us back to Job 9:9 and the following passages. Only she can call us forth. She alone can do it, because she's the one that created and laid the heavens out, not him. So let's read the cross references of we have escaped like a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we have escaped. Or they love to focus on the net and the fish that he has caught. He caught a lot in it. Well, we've torn the net. We've escaped his lie. We have escaped like a bird from the snare of the fowler. The net is torn and we have slipped away. So he didn't catch us. The fisherman ain't caught us in his net. The fowler hasn't caught us. We have actually escaped it like the dove, like the Holy Spirit. Isaiah 42:7. To open the eyes of the blind, to bring prisoners out of the dungeon, and those sitting in darkness out from the prison houses. So this is all. We're going to read a bunch of cross references to the verse of Psalm 124:7, just to let you know. I like this one in 2 Timothy 2:26. Then they will come to their senses. Oh, she will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, an admixture of religious lie and loss. She will finally part the lie and deliver her children. She will part the Red Sea as the presence of God, the Holy Spirit in the land that was stifled by a lie for a time. Then they will come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil. Who's the devil? Adam, Bel. Adam, the first accuser, the liar. She finally presents her case in order. Now will I lay the case in order, Adam, and I will rebuke you. And the Ancient of Days will restore my kingdom back to me, to my argument, which was the ruler in the land. So then they will come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil who has taken them captive to his will. They were all as silly women, laden down with silly lusts. Oh, really? This is the companion you want, the one that accused you and lied and told you that you washed in his blood. What you do in his law system. You certainly are washed in his blood, the law system. He hates your guts. Yeah, he hated. It says he hated me without a cause. He hates you. Don't think he don't. His law proves it. His feelings, the words out of his mouth proves it. Psalm 91:3, surely she will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly plague. We discussed what the plague was. What was the plague that break in upon Israel? That golden calf idol come in, and over time it becomes Baal standing, which is your husband, Balaam and Balak. Get it? And what was Moses told to do? Make a serpent and wrap it around a pole. If you look to this serpent, these daughters, my wise women, who is your scepter, you will live. However, if you hearken to the harlot spirit who's taken them in the tents going, tickle, 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 honey, it's all about you. You can be the ruler. Then you will die. So the deadly plague that break in upon Israel was a worship of Baal, this idol of husband, bridegroom, lord, and master, and it did so come into the Holy Land, in a sense. But we also see her leaving behind her rear guard that will awaken out of the dust of the earth. I hear a familiar spirit as of one who waketh out of the dust of the earth. And she will take back her throne. She will order the case aright. Long time have I held my peace. I've been silent long enough. Now will I go forth. I'll deliver my children. And I will lead you in pathways that you have not known, because his admixture of religious lie, his wine on the table that gets you drunk. Yep, poisoned your heel. That scorpion, that serpent, bites you, poisons you, puts you to sleep in a lie. He put strong drink to her lips so that he could look upon her nakedness. Yeah. Steal her children from her. That's the deadly plague that break upon them. For among my people are wicked men. They watch like fowlers lying in wait, and they set a trap to catch. Not men, women. They were after the women, not the men. They had to first contaminate the women, the woman's seed. That's who they were looking to ensnare. And they did. Look at Israel. They preach father. They can say, no, we preach out. They preach a male. Because look at their extensive dispensation of the law from Mount Sinai. And under that law, they take charge of the women. Yeah, so they did so become contaminated by the deadly plague. And it is a deadly plague. You will die here, unless you find a key that'll allow you to open the door. Free yourselves like a gazelle, the 3 leaps of the gazelle, from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. So we get the she-goat allegory, the hind here, the doe of the dawn, which I always want to put male. It's not, it's female. The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because she has anointed me to preach the truth, the good news to the poor, which is usually women. She has sent me to proclaim liberty. You are free, daughters. And to the captives, liberty and recovery of the sight to the blind, to release the oppressed. Who's the oppressed? Most likely women. Oh, you don't see that in the land? Oh, in the West, we come up and they'll talk about, I'm sorry, forgive me for this, but they'll talk about the great, no, what do you call it? Your, in America, your law of rights. I'm sorry, I can't remember nothing. When I'm making a video, I can't remember nothing. But their charter, their freedom, their charter of freedom. But you know what you women tend to forget? They did not write the she pronoun in there, which I use later on to tell you, well, it don't mean you. These rights don't belong to you, is what the men told you in America at the beginning of your creation. However, later on, around the 1950s, they start tossing you a few rights, don't they? Here, you've got your newly elected president trying to claw back those rights. And there was a guy who said the only reason why they gave women rights is because they wanted to tax the crap out of them. Make more money that way. Yeah. So their liberties don't include you. Jesus's liberties did not include you under the law. It's through him, this image of Jesus, that they use to take your rights from you. You haven't figured that out. So it's she, the Spirit of the Lord, is on me. And the Lord, who is the sovereign in the New Testament, is not Jesus. I forget the number they give her, 2962. And they try, it may not be 2962. And they try to say, well, that's Jesus, who's the sovereign Lord over all things. No, it's her. She's the sovereign, she's the creator, the maker. The Spirit of the Lord is on me because she has anointed me. She's anointed daughters like myself with her Spirit. We come from the original roots of wisdom's tree. If the root is holy, so too the branches. So we're proving by coming up with the truth that the root was so holy. So the Spirit of the Lord is on me because she has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. She has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives who are trapped in prison houses. None calleth for justice, none ordereth their conversations aright. We got our case in order, don't we, girls? And recovery of sight to the blind. Your eyes are opening, are they not? You are seeing now. You do so have sight to see. And by extension, you have the ears to hear now. To release the oppressed, those of us who was ensnared in their lie. And those women who are sure with his coming. It's just an allegorized way of saying a tramp. Psalm 141. Keep me from the snares they have laid for me. They laid them for her, the Holy Spirit, the Holy One. And from the lures of the evil doers, let the wicked fall into their own nets while I pass by in safety. And that's the thing she told them. She said, boys, girls, boys, if you make this idol of a man, you will fall into this snare and you will never be able to come away from it. You know why? Because they're not willing, they're proud, they're boastful, they're blind, and they are deaf. And they stay that way, according to what these words are saying. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared and a light shone in the cell. That's part of the lie that they tell. They add to their little storybook of craft lies. It's their craft, they'll say. My eyes are always on the Lord, for she will free my feet from the mesh. I am, what did she say? I sink in deep mire. And she did. This is the mesh also of the net that now they break free of. You can be one of the fishies trapped in his net. You go for it. I'm going to escape it. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. And we have become separate from their lie. Touch no unclean thing. Don't touch their idol. Don't touch their lie. And I will receive you. Don't touch their dead things. Psalm 31:4, you free me from the net laid out for me, for you are my refuge. She's our strong tower, our argument that we run into for salvation. Salvation 3:4, for deliverance and victory over our enemy, where we crush his head. He is not our head. Wisdom is our mother. It is for the freedom that the anointed one, that's the Holy One, the Spirit, has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not be encumbered once more by the yoke of slavery. They enslaved us with a religious line law system. Psalm 145, and you can go all through history from the beginning to the end. It'll be women of all colors that are enslaved. All of us got enslaved. We're the ones that have the right ripped away from us every time. Psalm 145, the proud hide a snare for me, the cords of their net are spread along the path. They want to brag the net up with the 153. You go right ahead, jump into his little net. The proud hide a snare for me, the cords of their net are spread along the path, and lures are set out for me. They said, how can anybody see what we have done? We hid ourselves under a refuge of lies as we planted these lures and these snares. She can't catch us. When the overflowing scourge comes in, no, they hid themselves under an idol that they made. That's what it says, the idol in Daniel 2, built by every king and kingdom. What a wretched man am I. Let's ignore that one. Let's go to Psalm 35:7. For without cause they laid their net for me, and without reason they dug a pit for my soul. That's the woman. The pit was Sheol. They dug into a place that they had no right to dig into. They changed the flow of the water. That means it goes to the lower pool ruled by a man where all the filth and crap goes into. And there he pees into her water. The word waters there, when you look it up, bitter waters, it's going to be semen. So it means he ends up having a seed of his own through her, right? But her own seed, her own vineyard, has she not kept? So if you can't reason out the truth, I guess there's no hope for you. You won't escape the net. You've been encaptured, and now you're going to be enraptured by his coming till the day you die. There you have it. Oh my, that's a long video. It's getting actually cold now, so I gotta go fix my furnace now. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. Sorry it's not the worm and the dragon connection. That's probably going to be very short unless I hit some, really important information on it. Well, it will probably just be a cursory study. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I pray the Lord blesses you with an abundance of the truth of the waters, of the life-giving waters from our Creator that we denied. We have been drawing from the well. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Wisdom, our Creator. We might have forgot her in our youth, but we are remembering her now with our gray hairs. Oh, blessed Spirit. We praise her. We praise Wisdom. Love my sisters who sees the truth. Love my brothers who sees this truth. And again, I thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very lovely day. And thanks again.